360 feels so old, summer wasted, doing everything we're told. This world is heavy, under all of their control. If you want to know.
Welcome back to Solo Spotlight. I'm your host, Ryan MacDougall, and today's guest is someone whose journey through music, personal growth, and authenticity has been nothing short of inspiring. Mark Wvlker, formerly known by his stage name Epidemic in the music scene, joins us to share his evolution, not just in the name, but in passion and purpose. From his early days to writing poetry in grade 8 to creating music that resonates on a deeper, more personal level, Mark shares his story about balancing personal life with music and staying true to oneself, the significance behind his name change, and lessons he's learned along the way. So whether you're an artist navigating your own path or someone who's seeking inspiration to pursue passions authentically, this episode's for you. Let's dive into the conversation with Mark Wvlker. So you should be able to hear everything.
Yeah,
you have no
latency.
Yeah, and you have no unfamiliarity with audio equipment.
No, definitely not.
My guest today. How you feeling, Mark?
Feeling good. This is but I mean, it's funny. It's kind of a catch-22 because in COVID, I was doing podcasts, but I was more like, it wasn't in person, so because you couldn't do anything in person. So I was doing like artists and creatives and stuff in like a Zoom call. But
yeah.
So this is nice to actually do a podcast with somebody in the same room. You know?
Yeah, very interesting. Because I also do them remote, depending on who right? Sense. And a difference in interview that you get between like an in-person one and then some, like it's still good and it sends the message, but even just the technology around it, where it's like just having like a half-second lag and like you accidentally cut them off and they're like, what? And then you just go this back and forth where you're like, no, you speak, no, you speak.
Yeah.
So it's good in that sense. Like, honestly, the way that I kind of maneuver and the way that I like approach it is like, yo, I'll talk to anybody. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And
that's
like,
always been my thing too.
Yeah.
It was just more directed in the same kind of avenue that I've always been interested in. Like, because music's always been an interest of mine, a passion of mine, but finding like fashion designers was something that I was looking into. Video directors was something I was looking into. I just got a lot into just more the artists and stuff and producers and people that are just passionate about the music industry in general. Like, and just had information. Like, there's a guy, he has like a whole, I want to say a blog, but that's probably an understatement, of every documented hip-hop release, whether that be single, album, CD, cassette. I think he might even have vinyl or like,
that's crazy.
For like anything earlier than that. It's like he's just got the information, and like having those conversations were something interesting to me because it was just tapping into something that I just I knew nothing about, and allowed me to kind of just embrace the conversation and just enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, what I kind of explain to people when I like think about it in my head is like, you can do like whatever it is. It's like you're only limited by like the imagination. It's like if there's a will, there's a way, right? Like if there's, because like right now I do another show and with like the same setup and everything, but with some friends from work, right?
Yep.
And it's more of like news, pop culture, like following
I've seen some of the videos.
So like following the trends, social media, stuff like that. More like reactionary. But I've been pitching the idea of like, oh, let's do a live show. Like, and
that would be cool.
You know, but it comes down to the thing of like, well, how hard are you willing to work on it? And it's only gonna pay off if like you actually go through the right
dedication
and like being smart, right? It's like we're talking about this, like we're on episode like 33 or something, and I'm like, this would be good for like episode 100, right? Like, so it's like, okay, well, we're still 67 weeks away. So it's like a very long-term game, but regardless what you do, it's the idea of like, well, oh, I like making knives. okay, well, like, what can you do to like make this creative or like spin it, right? Like, and
Yeah.
maybe it's like how you're building it. Maybe it's like reviews. Maybe,
Yeah.
and some people, they either can. They either can kind of like get at those ideas,
Right.
and then some people they just go, well, why would you do that? And you're like, never mind, man. Like,
Just don't watch this one.
yeah, you're just like, never mind, man.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like interacting with you, and not only that, like interacting with you as a person, but also interacting with like the content you were creating
Right.
back when you were Epidemic,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Throwback.
crazy. So explain to me the inception of that, and then explain to me like the transition to then modeling your stage name after your closer to your like your real name.
Well, Epidemic was something that just came up when it came. Okay, so the inception of it all was more like I needed a rap name when I was making music because I was writing poetry a lot in like grade 8 and going into grade 9. They were like, what if we record a song? Because like it was just fueled behind some stereotypical rap stuff and just kind of came up with Epidemic out of nowhere. And it was like, why Epidemic? And it's like, well, it's infectious. It affects a lot of people, so maybe that's what I'm aiming my music at, and that's like how I want to perceive and how I want everybody else to see like my music to be infectious. Like, take it in, you'll want to listen to it more. And I feel like it was like a little overzealous, but at the same time, like I needed something, and at the time it worked. So I started with the full word Epidemic, and then I transitioned into just, it looks like an acronym, but EPDMC, just took out the vowels.
Right.
Was inspired by Jordan Croucher on the East Coast. Shout out Jordan.
Yeah.
When he rebranded, he went to JRDN.
JRDN, yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, that's interesting. And I mean, I just kept the first E and then took out all the vowels, and then I went through, I don't even know how many years of explaining what the name is, what it means, and why you shouldn't introduce me as EPDMC instead of Epidemic. But it was just a constant reminder that like at the end of the day, I don't want to have to explain who I am. I want the music to explain who I am, and people not to be fixated on the name and be confused by the name, and therefore that's the conversation piece.
It took away from everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not even listening, man.
No, and it's like, but I mean, it did catch eyes as far as like the name goes. So like that was one positive.
Yeah, it probably did better in terms of metrics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And that's a big thing when it came to that. When I saw Jordan Croucher, I searched it on Google. It's like, well, if I search Epidemic, you're going to find anything and everything.
And it's going to be like Google News. It's going to be like all this other
worldwide
right
stuff.
And it's from like way higher reach, like CNN, you know, so it's like you're totally getting like washed.
So then when I came up with the EPDMC version, Googled it, there was next to nothing. There may have been one thing that I found that popped up, and I was like, this is exactly what I need. So when someone searches my name, that's what they find. And I was more focused on people finding me that way than the music. And I think it was important that in that sense, because the music will speak for itself over time. But if you can't find me anywhere,
then there's no patrol.
Yeah, it's a tough battle.
Well, and I think when you talk about like, I was just doing like audience demographics, like I was just Googling like for me, right? And it's like, oh, well, this and this and this is relatively low. But it's like if you compare it across the same people that are relative to like what you have and the content you create, it's like you have to look at it from a bigger picture and then be like, well, as long as I'm like trending upwards, everything. But it is one of those things where it's very it's very disheartening. On how long it takes and how much consistency and something you don't even realize that will do well does well, and you're like, that was like 10 out of my ranked 10 things I was gonna make, and now it explodes and you're like, this is so stupid. I don't understand, man. Like,
yeah, it was tough, but at the same time I just kind of had to focus and just more so like it got to a point where I just had to focus on the music and let the music be the voice more than like have a title over it. Like the title is just how you're gonna find me or how you're gonna search for me. That's what I wanted. I didn't have like the name is cool, but and then had a brief transition during COVID because, and not anything to do with COVID. I feel like I've cleared this up with so many different people asking questions because epidemic.
Yeah, it was like,
pandemic.
oh, you changed it because of COVID.
Yeah, and I was like, no, that
No.
has absolutely nothing. It's just very much a high coincidence, but
And it's like it would even just give you more reason to change it.
yeah,
You know,
true.
like
Very much so.
It's like, well, now
Yeah, now it's
I have no
everybody's
other
talking about
option.
it, and it's now less of an like a individual topic.
and people wouldn't give you a fair shot because they're like, he's being like corny,
Yeah,
right? Like
Yeah.
he's trying to like go off the
and
trend
that
or
sucks.
something.
But at the same time, it's like I'm glad I changed, but it was more for me. It was all I had to make a change that made sense to me, and I started going over ideas because I mean, you stick with a name for so many years of your career. It's like you change a name, rebranding happens, and you're basically hitting like a minor, like a soft reset. And that's a tough one for A, your listeners, B, your reach, C, search factors, everything like that. And it just comes into play. And it was like, am I willing to take that reset and allow myself to truly just focus on me, focus on my music, and let the music once again take the forefront, but build it up again. And then I did. So I did Marked in between what I have now. And looking at it from a hip-hop perspective and a rap perspective, Marked is probably not the best idea. No. And I didn't really think of it, but at the same time I was using my first name and my middle initial. And it just worked out that way. And I was like, nobody has it. But then I was like, the process of searching for everything, you can't search for any apostrophe
No.
anything on like.
And the longer it gets, the harder it gets. You know what I mean? Like it's absolutely one of the, like, you're in the type of industry where it's like it just all depends on, like, as cliche as it sounds, it's just like it's how many times you're just willing to show up.
Yeah.
It's like, because a lot of times you're doing it for funsies. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you love it and this, but it's like in terms of major payoff or what I'm gonna get, it's like. But what I look at too is it's not necessarily that. It's the fact that you do it that much, then you have like a back catalog of all of this experience, all of this reputation, like you've built up. You know what I mean? So it's like you've collaborated with this person. So then looking at it bigger picture, it's like, well, one moment might not be that significant. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like, oh, well, if a new person were to come look at my content now, I don't look like I'm just starting, or I don't, right? And
or
you can
I'm trying to pull too hard on like getting you to engage.
Like you're like there's an idea of like trying to follow a trend, and then there's the idea of like you're doing too much. Like now you're forcing it, right? And sometimes that comes down to like how like authentic you want to be. And I think that like going from having like a name behind it to then using your own name, it must have had like probably I would think in my head like more responsibility to like actually do something authentic, because it's like, well, now I'm actually representing like myself.
So when it came to that, it was more so I changed from Marked to Wvlker, and when I started using Wvlker, V instead of an A, was more so a focus on, like, it allowed me to hyper focus on why I wanted to do this, why music was so important, and why I feel like at 33 when I started and 34 now, that music is still equally as important as it was back then. It's just a different perspective and a different way of writing it, different experiences, and just a different story, different part of the story that I feel like is much more personal now. And I find the connection that I have with music is a lot more personal now. The stories that I have to tell, the things that I want to say, like I have a family now, so everything is more important when it comes to details. So I'm not willing to skimp on them, but I'm also not willing to sacrifice them for what I need to do and what I want to do.
Right.
So the music is there. It will always be there. And I think right now I'm getting back into it now. I'm getting ready for releases this year. It's just taken me a while to kind of reset and allow that focus to, like, my daughter is going to be turning 1. So it's kind of at a point where now I can kind of peel back and see where I want to go with this and see where I can take it and look for shows and look for more opportunities now that I've kind of figured out Alberta a little bit, but at the same time still discovering a lot. So Walker is just the beginning. We're in the just beginning stages, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, do you consider yourself like someone that works on like multiple projects at once, or are you more of like the completionist type of person that kind of finishes? Like, you need to kind of finish one thing, start to finish, clear it off your board, and then move on to the next? Because like I can juggle 20,000, like, and it's just like every day there's 80 tabs on my Chrome.
Oh, it's terrible. I don't like looking at my. I get called out for how many tabs are open. But at the same time, it's like, when it comes down to it, I think my mind's always going to different emotions. So I'm always in the midst of writing different songs depending on those emotions. And like I said, experiences inspire different songs. So I'm always working on something. Definitely always working on something, but nothing like... And I think that might be a flaw in my career, that I've never like focused on completion of like in an album, because I've actually never released as a concept as an album. So kind of just allowing myself to kind of focus more on that, I think, is just something that has always been a goal in my music career, to create an album and have it like conceptually make sense. But at the same time, like, I just have different ideas that I want to do with it, and like I like the rap side, I like the melodic side, I like the singing. It's like everything is me, but it's like I don't know if everything is going to be as cohesive as I want it to be when it comes down to actually putting an album together.
And do you ever consider like what is like digestible for an audience? Like, you say like, oh, I like to hear this, but I like it because I like this, and this.
Right.
So although I might not be as happy with that, because like I might not be as happy with that because it's a little bit more of a banger.
Yeah.
But this one was like heart and soul.
Right.
But I know that it's not like, I kind of just got to wait for the right time.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a lot of it's like that emotional connection to a song is everything. And I mean, whether that's like high energy or whether that's peeled back and like really lyrical or really, like you said, heart and soul, like I have no problem in putting out any of that stuff. But when it comes to it, I think I just have to be in the headspace to kind of want to release that music. I think I forgot where you were going with the question. But at the same time,
yeah, just about like what the audience perception is, and like it's like, say you talk about a studio album, would you want the album to kind of revolve around a story, or would it be a collection of thoughts? You know what I mean? So it's like,
I think that's a better way of putting that,
right? Like
for me to understand it,
right?
Sorry. I think I like the idea of multiple thoughts, because it's like, I think when it comes down to it, I've mentioned it a few times, experiences is a probably a good word to call it, and being able to use the album as like a peek into the experiences or my experiences that I've had throughout my life, or throughout this period of time that I'm actually putting this album out. Like, they may not cohesively, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like all songs link and just make sense going together, but they'll all be a stage in my life that made sense, and they were just like, these were the important times at this point. And I think that's like a snapshot of like what I've gone through, where I am, where I've been, but at the same time I'm still going through it, and there's still plenty more to go through. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And like, so when you're making the song, what process do you like better, like on the production side or on the writing side?
Writing, hands down. I've never been much of a producer, to be honest. I buy and get people and not producer friends. I just
Get beat.
it's just easier that way for me because it kind of allows me to focus on the writing because I that's what I've loved about the whole process and what I've loved about the industry is like the songwriting can be so intricate sometimes, but it can be also so basic sometimes and still catch your ear on both sides of it.
Right.
So
What I'm fascinated about across all of these things where you talk about like making art or content or even just the idea of doing something like independent where there's not like a fixed structure.
Right.
And what's crazy about it is like I could go work at whatever, earn my money to make my wage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
But then you look at like the skills I'm learning. It's like, well, I'm just learning like this skill. Say it's like labor work. It's like, well, I'm just learning around labor work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but when I look at, say I want to run a business in today's day, this might not have been the same thing 20 years ago.
Right.
It might have been a lot easier to like, or it might have been like more restricted to say like run an independent business.
Yeah.
Because like the level of reach. But now the level of reach is like exponential. Like I don't know if you saw on Instagram this guy, he makes signs, Tony LC signs, and he makes like memes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this guy's like now meeting up with all of these streamers and whatever it is. It's like this is just a dude that makes signs, right?
Yeah.
But and think about the amount of people that make signs, and this guy's like, you know what I'm gonna do? Like, so, but the thing is, now he learns signs. Yeah. Now he learns social media content. He learns production. He learns audio production, video production, camera angles, lighting angles.
Yeah.
So, like, say for music, for example, it's like, well, you're learning like huge like consumer relations, like working with people to make music, working with producers, what you like, what you don't like, and now you're gaining all this experience in all these different natures of like. I even posed it to my girlfriend of like, well, what if I just podcast for like 15 years? Could I then go apply to CTV and be like, yeah, I can be your host. I've been doing
resume, right?
Right, like I've been doing it, and look at the back catalog I have. Yeah. Right, but it's the idea of like it's possible with anything you do to like sell yourself on a global where like it's you're doing yourself a disservice not to. You just got to find what you actually enjoy. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe it's not music. Maybe it's not podcast. Maybe it's woodworking. Maybe
I've been talking about that with my wife actually for the last little bit, and I don't mean to cut you off, but no. It's more so like taking what I've been doing for the last 15 plus years and just kind of, this will work. This will always work. I'll always be able to create music. There's no doubt about it. But more so, like, if you want to be able to step away from the job that you have to at least pursue something that's going to make money and that you can truly feel passionate about, like you feel like you're actually giving back to the community, you're doing something that's going to improve the community, that's going to improve the industry in more than just a musical way, what would you do? And I started listing off things of just ideas of things that have always popped into my head but kind of like toss it aside because they never seemed very realistic in the moment, because I would really have to dedicate an immense amount of time, essentially like a full-time career at it. But to be able to step away from a guaranteed income right now to make that sacrifice is a lot. And like I said, I have 2 kids, and it's like I can't, like, I want to be able to do it, and there's a part of me that feels like I can do it. It's just a matter of making the jump and taking the time to actually realize what's going to make me happy, what's going to make me wealthy. And it's like, which one matters more? And I know they both have a coexistence, but at the same time, like, I feel like I definitely need to, like, I've entertained the idea of public speaking because I love talking and the idea and my story, I mean, like anybody's story is unique, but at the same time I can relate it to what I've done over the years as far as like music's taken me across the world, but at the same time anything you're passionate enough about can take you wherever you want it to take you. You just have to believe it and allow it to actually get there. Yeah. So like public speaking has always been something, like I've entertained the idea of being like an event planner, because I mean I love the idea of like helping people see their dream like artist, like their dream concert, being a part of that and just like facilitating it basically. And the idea sounds great. It just sounds like a lot of business work that I don't like dealing with. So like it's something that makes sense in one sense because I'm part of that industry, but at the same time it's like, is it going to be something that I'm going to be happy about at the end of the day? And
my like, what I share about that is like, I want to do it, and like the idea of like, I want people, like when I bring people on, I want to say like, it might be uncomfortable now, but wait till like this guy touches it, that guy touches it. We do a little intro. Like I reached out to a friend of mine and I just said, there's no reason to do this just because like I like you. I think you're doing amazing as trying to like, he plays like indie music and really good guitar, really good country singer. And I was like, why don't you just record something and I'll just put it as my intro. Right. I was like, it just is able for me to use this to put you on. And B, I can just credit you every time that you, and so then he's going to come on for an interview and stuff, but that's, and then people like, oh, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And like the amount of people that just go like, it's not going to work. It's not, and you're just like, listen, man, understandably so. I can appreciate the fact that you say that. Right. But like, if you were thinking what I was thinking, we wouldn't be talking right now,
we wouldn't be having that same conversation.
But it's also the idea too of like how much, like for me it's like I only want to do things that I like look at and I'm like actually proud of, where like I'm not doing this out of like malicious, like I'm not doing this because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make, like there's sometimes where you follow that wave and you're like, oh, we're talking, it's elections, okay, we're gonna talk about elections, right? Like shit like that. And then there's other things where it's like you're trying to like grease your wheels and stuff, or like just shady shit, right? Or like you're bringing people on and you're like, okay, cry for me, and then you know, and you're just like, but
give me more. I get what you're saying for sure.
And it's, I think it's the idea too that like you don't get a lot of help. Like there's not a lot of people. There's a lot of people that want to be like cheer you on and say like, hey, I really love what you're doing, and like you should do this. You should build a website. And you're like, dude, do you know how fucking long that? Like you know what I mean? Just no concept, and you're like, you don't think that I've already thought of this? Like
it's a lot, and like. Going to that, and like even back to your point of like having this as like a resume to go back on like CTV, like, well, I have music as a background, like could I just do like voice acting? Because I mean like that's also something I would love to do, but like having those people say you should do this or you should do that. I've had people that approach me like, can you make a song about this? I was like, or can you make a song? Like I work at the airports. Like, can you? I've had people years ago ask me, "Can you make a song about our employment or our job or what we do?" Right. And I was like, "Why?" I could, but I mean, why like, would I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I don't want to put that out, and I don't want like that's like I like my job. Like I do well, but at the same time, like I don't want to make a song about it. Like,
and you say like that's not what I want to represent. Like, there was. I'll give you an example too for me. Like there was someone that I worked with who I think she's trying to like raise money. Right. And like anytime someone's trying to raise money, I always give them an offer. Usually it's a no. Like 99% of the people that I ask, usually it's a no, and you're like, totally understand. Yeah. No harm, no foul. Yeah. I don't care. I get it. But I was like, maybe I should bring this person on. Like this would be, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, but I don't talk to this person. Like, I'm not, so I'm like, am I just like forcing something that's like, you know what I mean? Like naturally speaking, like, and the opportunity for like someone to come on and sabotage it. But that's not what I was worried about. I was just like, ethically speaking, like, why would I pretend that I want to, like help this person out? It's like, I did or never will don't like, so
what's the point?
Right. So I go through that a little bit, but
I've had that when it came to like, and there's no plugging on my
No.
podcast. My podcast has been dormant for a little while now, but every time I brought somebody on, it was something that I was genuinely interested in or about, or like what they were doing, or even just like how good of a singer they were. Like I feel like there's a person that just is in the community in Halifax that goes out to every hip hop event, that's a photographer, but like not an official photographer for events like that, and she's always there. She'll ride or die for like most hip hop events in Halifax, and it's great to see. And I was like, I need to have you on my podcast because people need to know that you're here, whether they know you're here or not, because it's important to know that like the people that want the support have the support regardless of if they can see it or hear it or post about it. The people that want to support it will post about it without question. But this woman was like just die hard, and it's so refreshing to see her in person, because you know she's there because she wants to be there. She's not being asked to be there. She's not being told to be there. She's not being paid to necessarily be there, but she's there because she wants to be a part of it. She enjoys it. She's a part of the culture. And I was like, you need to be highlighted, because whether you're actually a member of the hip-hop community, you are a member of the hip-hop community here. Like, and you are an essential one. Like, this is important. I feel like I know how important you are, so other people should know. And I mean, if you don't want that kind of publicity, I also get that. So no pressure. But at the same time, I want to, like, I'd love to showcase you if you're interested. And she's kind of like a more timid person, but at the same time, she was ready and willing to do the podcast, and it was great. It was a great conversation. She's a conversationalist in general. So but yeah, it was great.
It is crazy because like, if you were trying to do it, because I always bring it back to like, oh man, if I was at the gym or on a cruise and like I'm getting interrupted by someone that's trying to record something. Like I had a lady on, and she is like a food blogger. Yeah. And one of the questions that I asked her was like, yo, do you ever like take a measurement of like, is this now annoying? You know what I mean? Like how far am I taking this where it's like, okay, I'm fine embarrassing myself. That's fine. Yeah. But at what point am I like going somewhere and I'm like interrupting someone else, or just like doing that type of shit? A
conversation that you just don't want to have. Like you're treading that line just a little too far.
And it's not like it's cringe, but like there's just a level of, I don't know, if I feel that certain way, then I'm probably not going to be happy like doing this and like putting it. But it and going back to like the people that don't want publicity, it's like some people have like the best stories. Yeah. It's like maybe they don't want to relive that. Exactly. Maybe they don't want to like go through, you know, like so as much as it's a great thing and it would be a highlight, it's like, yeah, but you kind of have to like take the L and just be like, it ain't their thing. Yeah. And I think that's simply just a shame of like where today's like it's seen, because it's such a saturated thing that it comes off as corny right away. Right. Like people are like, yeah, whatever. Like I have people commenting on my videos like, oh, everybody has a podcast, eh? And you're just like, well, I guess, man. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like, sorry, but
everybody's got a story though. Everybody's got something they want to share or show, and
how much of it? Sorry,
no, you're good.
How much of it is like, because I say it's like you know, a 70-30 of like 70% is like what I'm trying to do for like the people around me, and then 30% is like, well, I brought a guy on who was like the other day who was an AMA tow truck driver, right? So it was like, I think it's cool to like reunite with people and B, like meet new people. So it's like that 30% is like, well, I'm just filling my time with cool shit. Yeah. And like that's how it is. And then the other side of it is like, well, I'm not gearing the reels to like highlight myself. So it's this weird like taken forth of like, there's some selfishness involved where it's like, when you look at a fitness journey that you're putting out on Instagram, it's like, well, how much of that is like a collection of memories for you to look at, and how much of that is like an update for the people? Right.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and like you said about even like the AMA tow truck driver, like you're talking about like it's just a spectrum that you're hitting. It's like it has nothing to do with necessarily tapping into everybody's interests, but it's like you have, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna hit everybody that you want to hit along the way, and and they're not all at the top of the scale. They're not to say that he's at the bottom of the scale either, but it's like the conversation is always going to be there. There's always going to be a conversation because they'll as long as there's cars, there'll always be a.
And the thing about making music and like with that too is like I'm sure you could echo is like it's just fun.
Yeah.
Like I just have fun doing it, so it's not really like, and this takes up so much of my like so much of my time. Like this is the biggest fight that I get my girlfriend with.
Yeah.
But it's like I wouldn't skip a day. Right?
No,
like
exactly.
I love doing it, right? So it's like I think that's also the reason why like through these like name changes and everything, you're still coming back to music.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, you're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
like,
it's the basis of where it all comes down from. It's just like music will, like, and like I said earlier, music will always be there, and it's something in me that I feel like without it, I don't know what I do. Yeah. And I've had this conversation with myself. Funny enough, I truly don't know where I would be without music, and I don't know what I do right now if music just disappeared out of my life. Like, I'd probably go lost in some way, shape, or form, all jokes aside. Really.
Right.
It's like, it's a lot. Like, you dedicate over half your life to something and have this passion just grow inside you naturally. Mm-hmm. You start to wonder, like, you go speechless on, like, what you would do. Because, like, it's just been a part, like, and like you said, it may transition into something else, but music will always be there in the sense for me, in the sense for a lot of people, but at the same time, for my journey, it was like, it'll always be there whether it ever goes, like, skyrocketing or not. Like, and that's not my concern either, though. It never was, and I feel like if it ever did, it was going to be fueled by something more than just the passion.
Yeah, and the bad actors get found out eventually. That's what I always say. Like, there's opportunities to do some like fuck shit, but it's like, eventually, it's gonna catch up with you. Like, whether it's this or that or the other thing, like something's gonna happen, and then you're gonna be like, I knew I was gonna have to like pay for this at some point, right?
Yeah.
But I think also the idea too that you like you have something to look back that stands the test of time, and you're like,
it's pretty cool.
It's cool. You're like, cool. I did that shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
you also see the layers of it all too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like the disconnect between a general audience and someone who's trying to master a craft is, because the idea of like, okay, say a song comes out and they're like, that's really good. You're like, really good. Like, say you look at like Kendrick Lamar song or an Eminem wordplay or like a Busta Rhymes speed, and then you say like, people are like, oh, that's all right. You're like, dude, you have no fucking idea how fucking hard that is. Like, that's so like not even the idea. Like, I tried to explain Lil Baby has a song with Lil Wayne called Lonely, and one of the verses is like, I had my brother was laid up on me, it's been catching up on me. So it was like, my brother's laying on me, it's catching up on me, but it's like catch up on me. And I'm trying to explain that to her, and she's like, what?
That's a lot. Yeah.
And you're like, that's a bar. Like,
yeah.
And so, but the thing is, it's like, if you don't care about it.
Yeah.
It just goes right over your. It's just like a surveyor who goes out and goes like, this is amazing. And you're like, what? It's a field. And they're like, you have no idea how rare the flat land is or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So it's I think that's where the disconnect comes, because it's like the amount of pride and like how much work it takes to sink in. And then it's like someone only gets to see 3 minutes of that.
Yeah. And literally, like, it is just a peek every time you hear a new song. It is just a peek at where their mental state was at that time, or where their writing process was at that time. And even when it comes down to that, like, you say that, and it's like you get moments of wanting to just hit those rhyme schemes so perfectly. And I feel like the way that the rap game has, or even songwriting game has changed over the years, that like multi-syllable rhyme schemes are just so pretty to me.
It is.
And it's like I hear like a 3 or 4 or 5 syllable continuous rhyme scheme through even a half a verse is like being able to structure that, make it sound good, but make it actually sonically sound the same, like rhymes.
Yeah. Now,
rhymes.
like when you look at music, or say you're listening to just the average track, in your brain, do you like break down the track while you're listening to it and go, oh, I hear a snare, I hear, oh, the piano, oh, that sounds like this key, because like sometimes I do that a lot and it drives people nuts. Where I'm like, oh, do you hear that bass line? And they're like, what?
Not necessarily. Like I think the way that you can use melodies and just percussion as a whole, sometimes like those individually, of course, but like if you can tap into the right moments in the song, that like both rhythms just are so cohesive that they just tick in the right rhythm, that like it catches you off from the natural rhythm of the song. I think those ones, like there's moments that just like it, I always look for those kind of moments, because those are the ones that are gonna catch you off guard and make you come back to those songs. Like he had a stutter, like a purpose stutter in his song, and it's like being able to don't do it, please, why? And it's like, but it's all in rhythm of the song, and it's like, and I mean it really cuts down the amount of words, but like to be able to on beat change up the amount of times you say something, or like that's the song. It's so crazily structured that it hits. And I mean, of course, the pullbacks of the beat every time, and like with that style of rap, it's just crazy. Allows you to just really tune into it and just pay attention. But like I heard that and I was like, what? Like it's such a simple strategy to songwriting and just the approach of the verse, that it kind of see. And this is the conversation that you're talking about. Like I get fascinated with this kind of stuff,
and then people
because
are
it's so
what, like,
because like these are like, and no shade to my wife, but like I have these conversations with my wife, and it's like it's hard to have the same kind of passion about it when somebody just doesn't see it in the same, see in the same eyes or hear the same ears.
And this kind of brings me into like, how do you find that like, this is what I always say to myself: when's enough? Like, when have I realized like, oh, I'm doing, like, for me, there's the ceiling is infinite. There's infinite amount of money, infinite amount of time. So, but have you ever got to a point where you're like, yeah, I'm doing too much, I got to dial it back, because like, A, it's causing relationships I'm not showing up to work, or I'm not attending to my family and being there, or like, have you had a good like how do you gauge that?
I think over the years, like I said, I've been doing this, like I've been in the creation process and the writing process and just in the music side of things for over like 15 plus years. In the first little bit, it was like a hyper focus to dedicate as much time as I could to the music, and to not say that like I'm going to be like the next Classified or the next like Cardinal Official. It's like, that's not the thing.
My question is like, how do you balance like,
time,
the time you want to spend? Because the thing is, since it's fun, it's like the time's an illusion, right? Whereas like if I'm at work, I'm counting down the hours, but I could be editing podcasts for 17 hours straight and I wouldn't even look up. Like, I'm not tired, right? But at some point I have to recognize and be like, okay, Ryan, you got to dial it back, because like you're starting to piss people off, and like it's just you're doing too much, and there's no value.
I find that more than anything, like I found the balance. So back to, I guess, what I was saying. I found the balance over the years, but knowing that there is a time and place for music, there's a time and place for work, there's a time and place for family. Like I don't especially when it comes to music and family, I'm able to find the balance that doesn't allow one to interrupt the other. And I feel like that's the most important one, because like I'll work on music at work. Like there's so much downtime that I have. I'm either writing, B, finding another beat to write to, C, working on the next Instagram / social media post, editing videos. Any time that I have down at work is spent on the music, because like I can't spend it with my family, so it's got to be spent one way or another. And I'm not gonna, for me, it's not, I'm not like, my job is my job, but at the same time, like if I have downtime, by all means, it's gonna be spent doing exactly what I want to do and in the direction that I know I can improve everything. And I mean, it's still tough, but at the same time, like I'll spend any spare 5 minutes that I can, either, or if like my music's playing in my headphones and all of a sudden a new song just comes on because it's run out of the playlist, and it's like, oh well, there's that too. So it's just the weird things that happen.
And this kind of leads me into my next thing of like your fitness journey, and like, so I just kind of want to like get an idea of like, what was the motivation behind that? Was that a life transition that happened in the background and then became to the forefront, or was it something that the audience was able to see like live?
A little bit of all of that, I think, more than anything. But for the most part, I'd always had an interest in fitness, but nothing to the point of wanting to share it, because I see all these accounts and everything on like TikTok, and there's a lot of people, and I think I made a post about it more out of spite, unfortunately, just because I see them talk, and they talk so monotone. It's like, I don't want to listen to that, but I also don't want to be that one either. So like, I try and amp my posts up sometimes, and it's like, and coming back to one of your moments, is like, am I overdoing it? And I'm overdoing it to compensate with the fact that I don't want to be the ones that I'm hearing that I don't like the monotone. It's like,
am I going to be more vulgar because I know everybody's worried about being vulgar?
But as far as like the journey goes, it was like, I started maybe going to the gym at like 18. So like, I know kids now are going in like high school. They're like 14, 15, 16, starting out at the gym. And it's like, that's great. But like, mine started at 18 when I was done high school, and like, I had a friend of mine passed away. He was unbelievably fit. Like, you would just swear like he was cut out of a magazine or something. And his fitness alone was always something that I admired, because he was so dedicated, but at the same time he was a firefighter, so he was always someone so dedicated to his work, I don't want to call it that, his career, that he put his fitness as one of the most important factors, because it's part of that. You have to be fit to be a firefighter. And just, I think that alone inspired me to kind of dive a little deeper and kind of take care of myself a little bit better. Because I mean, COVID happened and I gained like 15, 20 pounds, and it was like scary how quick that happened. And wanted to take some steps to improve myself, because it's not good for me. And like, when that started to happen, in 2021 we had our first kid, and I was like, I can't be the guy that gets tired all the time, and I can't be the guy that's not fit for my kids, because that's not fair to them. They're here. I can't not be there for them because I'm not fit. So I started taking care of myself a little bit more here and there, and then we had our second one, and like, over the last 2 years, I think, more than anything, I just kind of realized that I liked sharing my journey, because it's not necessarily like I'm not the most fit individual, but like, I like the idea that I still go over things that frustrate me at the gym, but at the same time that work well for me at the gym. And like, if someone wants to try something, like, I don't mind offering advice or offering suggestions, but I don't want to overstep and say, you need to do this in order to be better, because it's like, well, I'm not at a stage where I'm my best state, so I kind of have to just take that in stride and allow like the journey to tell itself. And like you said, you're seeing it live. Like, I don't want it to seem like this is a perfect fitness journey, because by all means it's not.
No.
And I want to make sure like people understand, like, I'm doing my music, but I have the fitness side that I'm passionate about. that I just want to make sure you understand that I'm human too. Like, I make mistakes and I have setbacks, and we all have failures, but we all have successes in one way or another. So, but I mean, that's for me, that's what it was. And it was like, I think more than anything, taking the step and actually sharing it was a step out of my comfort zone, because I like sharing my life. I don't mind talking to a camera and vlogging and whatnot, but like, you start incorporating your physical flaws and stuff like that, it gets personal, and if you're not ready for it, and
the thing is, like, people don't understand like how much mockery like fucks with you, you know what I mean? Like, like, we just did this video where one of our co-hosts is talking about, and I thought it was hilarious, and we all find it hilarious, but I could tell that like a certain people would. So he's talking about, like, we're talking about paying with our grills. People are putting like NFC.
Yeah, I saw the post.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got a grill, blah, blah, blah. And someone put a comment and said, put the fries in the bag on. And you're just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, to a certain person, that might be like, oh, fuck, that hurts. You know? So it's one of those things, like the apprehension to do it, the idea. And I interviewed an author who talks about like recovering from trauma. He was a veteran, corrections officer, and then he wrote this book. And he talks about the idea that like human connection is like the lifeline. Like, that's what people need, man. Like, he's 100%. Like, that's what that's why people are attracted to this type of content, because like some people just want that human connection. So it's like, maybe, you know, it's like, I always say, if someone comes to me and tells me like, yeah, I like this, it's like, you did your job. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you've satisfied one person with your music, like, that's kind of the idea, right? Yeah. And it might not be for everybody. No. You can't be everybody's friend.
And over the time, you kind of have to take that as a thick skin kind of format, because not everybody's gonna like your music, but at the same time, nobody has to like your music. No. So, like, you have to go into it very thick-skinned, because it's like you get butthurt over somebody saying, oh, that doesn't sound good at all. And your career is done before you even...
And then you just say, like, yeah, that's fair, I guess. Like,
exactly. It's like,
but at the start, it's like that's a game changer. Yeah. And it's a game changer, right? Like, it's... But the idea that you push through it, right? And the idea that...
I still have the old stuff online. Sorry.
That's... But I think also I like the idea where you're also just trying to like identify with an audience, of saying like, hey, I'm not just like trying to be a gimmick, or I'm not playing a character, or like, you know, where you see some people, their online presence is like a persona, where like I had to reason with that right away, of like, am I going to be me, or am I going to be like a version of me, right? Like, am I going to be ruder or nicer, or like, how am I going to like tackle that, right? Because it's something where it's like, it's the consistency, right? So it's like, if you're not a drill rap guy, and then you start doing that, and that becomes who you are, it's like, well, that's going to burn out pretty quick, right? And that's just not who you are, right? No. So... But like it's how do I say this? Like, it's just a journey, and like the more experience that you're gonna get, the more your advice is gonna be worth. And then, you know, so there's always this payoff, but it's like short-term pain, long-term gain, and like how much am I willing to, like, what's my risk tolerance? Like, am I gonna risk it all and like do it? Well, how confident am I that like everything's set in place and I have everything going on, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to not to wrap it up, but I want to ask some wrap up questions.
Fair enough.
So you're talking about making an album. What does that look like? Like, what could be like a timeline?
I'd like over the next couple of years, I think, more than anything, because like, I get to a headspace of like it's about time to do it, and like, I think I can just kind of like open up the idea of telling the experiences that like weren't necessarily easy to tell, because like with my transition from Nova Scotia to here, was no shortage of some drama and trauma in my life. But the time alone has allowed me to kind of write it out and then be able to say it out loud, record it, but then like being able to hear it back, I think is a lot of therapy for me. And that's another thing for me when it came to the music. It was always like a means of therapy. And like throwback to like I was in high school writing, and like I was dealing with a tough time with like exams and stuff, or a breakup, and like, or a fight with my parents or something. And I was writing. I just, for some reason, my mind went to writing. I was writing. It was like, my dad came in the room saying, "What are you doing?" It's like, "You have school in the morning." I was like, "Aren't you supposed to be working on homework?" I was like, "I needed to get this out. Like, this is something I have to do." It's like, "No, you're just going to be up later working on your homework." It's like,
all right.
"Oh, all right.
Fair enough.
And at the time, like, so I mean, like, finding the tough moments in my life, I think, has been a little bit easier as I write them out. Mm-hmm. And therefore, including those in such a project, I think, is important for my growth as a person, let alone an artist, and just being transparent. Because I feel like over the years, I've learned a lot that like there's a lot of artists that just don't want to share a lot. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I know what is appropriate to share and what's not appropriate to share. And I feel like that opens up my catalog to kind of, here's my story, here's my life, here's what I've been through. Don't feel like you're alone, regardless of the situation. It might not be serious, but it might be serious in the same sense that, like, it might be tough now, but don't hold your breath. Think about it, talk about it, find the people that are going to connect, like, you're just going to connect with naturally about those things, and keep going, because you'll find an opening that makes sense, and that'll shine a little bit more light on your situation that makes it okay. So I think that's where the album's going to come in. And I feel like even talking to you about this right now, saying all that just made a lot more sense in my head. Mm-hmm. But like, I've never been a person to force the album. No. Because I don't feel like that's going to make it sound any better, for sure. But at the same time, I want to be able to make sure, like, I feel like I'm in the right headspace to release the album. I don't want to be 62 or something like that with my first album coming out. But I mean, right. if that's how it works, that's how it works. But I have a lot that has transpired in the last 2, 3, 4 years of my life that I feel like will justify an album's worth. So 100%. I think it's a long time coming. It's a long time overdue. But at the same time, I feel like I'm more of a clear headspace now to kind of aim it in that direction successfully, I think, more than anything.
And next question. Yeah. What do you think is your, like, the biggest misconception that you think the general audience should know about creating music?
Biggest misconception?
Yeah.
That it's easy? Fair. Like, anybody can make a song? Yeah, anybody can make a song. It doesn't take anything to to kick and clap and then like go to like Rhyme Zone and find words that rhyme. But like putting emotion into a song, I feel like has made leaps and bounds beyond just the average songwriting. And I feel like you don't hear Eminem rapping calmly ever.
No.
And it's like anybody that has made success over it has put emotion into it, whether that's been rage or somber or excitement, but it's always had an emotion that's been powerful. Yeah. And I feel like channeling that emotion into that song and making it not, and I don't like the word, but convincing. Like, there's got to be some connection to the people that you're writing it about, but not necessarily, and at the same time writing it to, because it's just got to be more than just music. It's just got to be more than music. I find that that's a big thing.
And the thing is, it comes down to that like authenticity, where it's like, does this person actually like care about what they're doing, or is it just like a cash grab? And like, if this person was to make a lot of money, he'd never make music again, right? Like, so, but like what I think a lot of people don't say to themselves is like, think of it as you on the other side of the screen. Okay, I'm recording a podcast. The minute the audio sucks, I'm out. The minute the video sucks, I'm out.
Right? That's
right.
Yeah. Put it in
Bad
the same
intro,
yeah.
I'm out. Right. So it's like, how many videos do you skip through on a daily basis that were the same dude as you were trying to get seen?
Yeah.
Right.
But I take that into perspective now more than anything with people that are starting out, and especially like videos on TikTok. Like I'm not one to swipe away as often because
I go through now and like
I get it.
I go through like 10 minutes and I'm like,
yeah.
The next 50 posts I'm just liking every single. I don't care who you are, because I just understand the importance of the engagement. Where it's like, maybe it's a Beyonce post that has 7 billion followers or whatever, but maybe it's the dude that I'm his first like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and I catch myself on those ones sometimes too, because it's like you like it just out of reaction sometimes. Like, it just is genuinely good, and you look over and it's like, oh, I was the first like. And some people get weird when it comes to being the first. They don't want to be the first like, and I get that, but like I'm one of my first likes on posts. Like I like my own posts. Like, if you don't like your own posts, like, what are you posting for?
And the idea, like, I saw this type of trend, and initially I was like, I don't know. But what people do is say they put out a reel. Yeah. They share it to, like, a list of 20 people, and they just say, can you please go like and comment?
Yeah.
But I was kind of like in the middle, where it's like, how much of that is like you're begging for attention? But at the same time, you're like, well, I understand the I'm not asking you to like what I'm doing. I'm asking you, because you spend 7 hours a day on Instagram, to go click the fucking heart, please. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Go put 2 claps. It doesn't take a lot of work. No. Like, and if this was a picture of my new car, you'd like it. So just come on. Yeah. You know, so like I get that mentality too of like, well, if I send it to 20 people, that's 20 likes right there. Boom.
I was doing that a lot more. Like maybe a couple years ago, even a few years ago, actually, it was all about like you make the post, but then you share it with like as many people as you could. And even like, especially when it came to TikTok, like TikTok, you don't have to involve the same people, but I stopped sharing it to just like the first 15 people on the line. And I started paying attention to, well, this person doesn't like my post. Why would I bother sending it to them? Exactly. If they find it and they like it, they'll like it on their own. But like I started aiming it towards the people that A, like the post, B, are in the industry, or C, are friends of mine that like I know they'll show the support whether I would ask it or not. Yeah. So it's like I got to a point of I got more strategic when it came down to it, and I feel like you really have to be, because you have to dial into the people that want to hear it and the people that choose to hear it, as opposed to the people that just stumble upon it and say, eh.
And the idea too of like, I always get like in the middle, because what I tell a lot of people when they're like trying to create content is like, it's like the pride, the ego, the whatever the fuck you're trying to figure out. Yeah. Like, you're going to get clowned. It's going to be embarrassing. You're not going to want to listen to your own voice. It all sucks. Nothing's going right. But it's like eventually like you don't know that you're going to like, you don't know what you're actually trying to do until you get like a sample size and you go, yeah, I didn't like that. I like that more. I like that more than that. Right. So I think I'm going to do a little mix of this with a little bit of that. And like the texts were in a certain place. I liked that. How was the so, but it's like, how do you know if you're not trying different things, right? So it's the idea of like, you just kind of have to like, you got to leave the armor somewhere else.
Yeah. Just got to figure it out.
And you just got to do it, right? Because you're not going to know what your identity is until you get like an idea and say, that's actually something I'm proud of looking at. Yeah. Right? And like, that's where I think it gets to a point where you start making like really good content, because you're like, I know what I'm trying to do. I know the direction I'm trying to do. Yeah. Like, and now I'm not like, when people go, so what do you do? Like, what are you doing? You're not like, this is fucking embarrassing. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, how do I try to explain to this person that I put 30 hours a week into something that's getting me nowhere, but I love it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, I guess, is the journey, right? And like, Again, we've been following you from I've been day one. But yeah,
Appreciate that.
I speak for the channel. Loving the content, man. I thank you so much for coming out, and I hope we can stay involved in your journey, have you on sometime in the future, and
see where it's all gone.
Of course. Yeah, man. And anything you want to leave the audience off with?
Not really. To be honest, it's just more new music's in the works. I don't like promising new music. I don't like promising dates or deadlines anymore, because like that holds me to a standard, but if I let them down, it just kind of it gives any hope of them coming back. So there's new music in the works. I promise that much. There's definitely some I've had some teasers and some snippets on my social media, but other than that, yeah, I mean, if you want some wholesome content sometime, some fitness, little here and there, just if you're just getting started in music or just getting started in fitness, by all means, check out the content. I go by the name Wvlker.
Wvlker, A substitute with a V in both of the Walkers. We will put all of your socials and everything in the description below. I'm assuming that's where people can, the fastest they can kind of get in touch with you, get a hold of you, see your content. It's probably through the Instagram.
I only use like I think I post everywhere, but like the ones that I focus on, Instagram, TikTok.
Instagram's king.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, that's been Solo Spotlight, episode to determined. I don't know. I'm doing so many interviews.
It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
All right.
Pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the viewers, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, comment. What do you think? Go look at Mark's content. Comment below. Let us know what's going on. With that, take it easy.